Fast forward 12 months, the proposals were again submitted to the DPC with a navigational safety report, which was prepared by the Cormorant Camber. The captain of the port again opposed the proposal. The captain of the port and his team do a wonderful job in ensuring that our waters and our waterways are kept safe. Some of the waterways are extremely narrow, so we were surprised that obviously when it came to the vote, that it resulted in six votes in favour of the Cormorant Camber, 4 against, and 1 abstention. And it's on that basis that the Queensway Quay Marina was somewhat surprised, very surprised and indeed concerned, that 2 government ministers appeared to overlook the recommendations of the captain of the port and voted in favour of what we still consider, Queensway Quay Marina still considers to be a very, very unsafe area, given that this isn't the same as parking a car. You know, when you come to berth a vessel, you've got to be aware of wakes, tidal conditions, weather conditions. You don't drive in a straight line. You need areas to manoeuvre safely. And yeah, so here we are now, you know, having to consider what our options are moving forward.
So this is a very obvious issue on safety. It's a very narrow waterway here. One of the arguments that has been put is the berthing of super yachts in the area of behind the sails, which is perhaps not the area designated for super yachts. That's one of the arguments being put across.
Well, that is not correct. The captain of the port, in his letter of support that was presented to Queensway Quay Marina, confirmed that this area is critical for the berthing of super yachts. We have a right to berth, rather the client, Queensway Quay Marina, have a right to berth whatever vessel they see fit, any shape and size. It's been doing so for years within the confines of its lease boundary, with the benefit of these easements, as I've explained, which requires boats to effectively use some of the waters to navigate safely.
Now, another of the arguments in terms of that safety and the manoeuvring space that's required to access the berthing spaces, the Minister, Leslie Brusson, suggested it would be unfair to limit the Camber's Club's expansion while not strictly enforcing existing boundaries on Queensway Quay. Do you accept that perhaps the enforcement has been uneven?
Well, I think the point that has to be made in that respect is we tried last year, as already mentioned, we tried to find a solution, meet at a halfway house to see that they could continue to use their berths and we could continue to use ours. That didn't involve a complete removal of the area. It allowed for a partial extension within the berthing area of the Cormorant Camber, but also maintaining our rights to berth within our area. You will see from the plans which I've submitted to GBC that the extent of what is being suggested under the proposal of the Cormorant Camber is extensive, and it effectively blocks off access to areas such as this, which is opposite Cormorant Wharf, and indeed will make it extremely unsafe for vessels, I would argue, of any size, not just super yachts.
So what would the legal challenge entail then?
Well, there are 2 options available to Queensway Quay Marina. The first one is obviously to see whether we would judicially review the decision of the Development Planning Commission. The second one, which I suspect is the most viable one, is liaison with Land Property Services as landlords in connection with our lease boundaries and the rights that we have in those leases to use part of the waters to the north of the sails. And I said I've already reached out to Land Property Services so that we can engage with them on this, and we'll take it from there.